Calgary Police have charged a man in connection with a fatal shooting that took place yesterday afternoon. At approximately 2:10 p.m. Yesterday, Sunday, February 22nd, 2015, police were called to reports of a shooting in the 2600 block of Edmonton Trail Northeast. A 30-year-old man was transported to hospital where he later succumbed to his injuries. Several police units, including the HAWC helicopter, flooded the area following the shooting. A man fitting the description of the suspect was spotted several blocks away by the flight crew on board HAWC, who then directed ground units to make the arrest. That suspect has now been charged with first-degree murder. Alan Devin Bird, B-I-R-D, 20, of Calgary, has been remanded in custody, and his next court appearance is scheduled for Friday, March 6, 2015. The autopsy is scheduled for this afternoon, Monday, February 23rd, 2015. A cause of death will not be released until this autopsy has been completed. The victim has been identified as 30-year-old Jaimend, spelled Jaimend, Orellana, or Orellana. Although the investigation is ongoing, it is not believed that this was a random attack, but a confrontation between two people known to each other. This is Calgary's 6th homicide of 2015, and anyone with information about the incident is asked to call police or Crime Stoppers. So I'll answer what questions I can on that one.
Can you talk about what this was over?
We know that the victim, it's a duplex situation, so the victim resides in one of the duplexes. There's a third party that is known to both our suspect and the victim who lives on the other side of the duplex. We know there was a confrontation of some kind between the victim and the accused prior to the shooting. We did have a number of witnesses, so we've been able to get good information as to that confrontation, and it was a result of the cooperation from those witnesses that we got the description we did and were able to make that arrest.
So does the accused live in the duplex as well?
He does not. He just knows the third party that's on the other side of where the victim lived.
Is the third party a woman?
I don't know that, sorry.
So sorry, what does the third party have to do with the situation?
The third party, the accused knows somebody on the other side of the duplex from where the victim lived.
So how did he meet the victim?
They know each other just from frequent visits to the address.
Is it like this guy's only, the victim I think has only been here a little while, right?
I don't know that. All I know is that the victim and the suspect know each other because of the mutual person on the other side of the duplex, and they had been to the address a number of times.
Can you say what makes it first degree?
Well, first degree is it's premeditated or planned, and or in the commission of another serious offense like kidnapping, confinement, sexual assault. So there were circumstances on this one that were relayed to our homicide investigators that have elevated it to the first degree level.
So can you say which though, premeditated or other circumstances?
No, not at this point. No, I just know that it met that threshold for first degree based on the information they have.
Are either of them involved in organized crime in the city?
I have no background at all on either one of these two. Sorry.
So, like, I mean, had police been called to this address before?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
They hadn't been called to either
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So had this been a dispute that was ongoing or just?
Again, I don't know that. I mean, probably those details will come out in court because there were a number of witnesses at the scene at the time, but I don't know what it was over or what escalated it to the point where a weapon was used.
Was the accused out on bail at the time, or had
I
these
don't
other
know that.
matters wrapped up?
No, I don't know that.
Kevin, was this a drive-by shooting situation?
No, they were outside of the address.
So did anybody actually witness the killing then?
Well, I don't know if they actually witnessed the killing, but certainly there were a number of witnesses at that residence that were able to pass on very good information. So whether I can't say whether they actually witnessed it or were able to give really good detailed information to the investigators that gave them that threshold for first degree and also gave us the description that we were able to make that arrest shortly afterwards.
Can you speak to just the fact that this happened in broad daylight in a fairly residential area?
Yeah, I mean, it's really concerning. 2:10 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon in a residential area. So absolutely very, very concerning. I think anytime a weapon is used, certainly gunfire elevates it to another level. So we are concerned that we're seeing, certainly since the start of January, an escalation in guns, particularly that have been used in the commission of some offenses. But the fact that now we're seeing mid-afternoon in residential areas is very concerning to us.
And this
Speaking of
happened
that-
outside the house, as you said, not
That's my,
inside?
yeah, my information is that it was outside the residence.
Speaking
called
of that point,
911?
Kevin, about the guns, any indication that these guns may be connected to the thefts from a couple of gun shops in Calgary late last year?
I don't have information specifically on this weapon. I can tell you that a weapon was recovered in proximity to the arrest, but whether or not that was the weapon that was used or not still has to be determined through forensics and ballistics. You know, there's a number of different ways these weapons are being obtained. They're coming over the border. We have B&Es. We all know about the local B&Es of gun stores. We are seeing B&Es of residents that are legitimate gun owners. So, you know, we are seeing that these weapons are in the city through a number of different ways. Very fluid when you're dealing with organized crime. Weapons are moving from province to province. They're coming over the border. It really is a collaborative effort. It's not just a police problem. I think we have to work with our federal partners, RCMP. We have to work with CBSA on the border issue. But I think more importantly, we got to work with the community. These people, there are people out there that know these individuals have guns, and I think if we can get information either through Crime Stoppers or other means, I think it's important that we get these guns off the street, because we're seeing the results of weapons that are available.
Did you recover a weapon in this case?
Yes.
Is
It
that-
was recovered in proximity to where he was arrested in the golf course, but we don't know if it is the weapon.
And so, do you know anything about this weapon, or where it came from?
No.
Was it registered, or?
No, it was seized close to the scene where he was arrested, and it's just being tested right now to see if it is actually the weapon from this file.
Talking handgun, Kevin, or a rifle?
I believe it was a handgun.
Kevin, out of the 7 murders this year, all weapons, firearms.
Yep.
They appear to be primarily targeted. Are they connected in any way? Is this?
I can say that this one, as well as the other 2 that happened on the weekend, with the information that I have right now, they're not connected. Certainly the fact that we've had so many, and there have been, you know, in the past, you look at a lot of the weapons-related files have had some organized crime, some gang connection, but with regards to certainly these 3, at this point, there seems to be no connection to anything that's happened previously.
That you do worry about, like, the uptake in these incidents so far this year? It's,
I don't have stats, and I was hoping to have those for you this afternoon, but I can tell you that last year I had a look at the violent crime committed by edged weapons and handguns. And when you look over a 5-year trend, it seems to be fairly consistent over the 5 years. That certainly doesn't minimize or make it okay, but what I can say is that, you know, we aren't seeing a spike, at least this time last year, but when you look at how many offenses have happened since January, I would suspect that there is a significant spike right now in the first couple months of 2015. The other thing is that it's been very cyclical in the past. You'll see a period of time where we see a lot of knife attacks, and you'll all remember those times over the last year or 2 where everybody was using knives. And right now, it just seems like everybody is using guns or have access to guns. So again, very concerning that we're seeing this uptrend, and we're hoping that working with our partners or the community, we're going to be able to identify who these people are, and proactively, if people know these people have guns, give us a call, because we have to get these off the street.
Alarming to the force, Kevin, that it was a 20-year-old that committed this shooting?
Well, I mean, it's sad that we have a 20-year-old that life has been significantly altered here, depending on what happened or what the circumstances are, that it got to a point where, you know, a handgun was required. But age aside, I think, you know, we have an individual 30 years old who's dead, and we have a 20-year-old facing first-degree murder charges. So, I mean, yeah, it's a sad situation, and the fact that guns are out there.
Can you tell us anything about the victim in this case?
I have nothing, just 30-year-old, just a name. That's all I know.
You
Was he
don't know?
married, Kevin?
No,
or-
sorry, I don't have any information on the victim. In fact, I just got information literally 10 minutes before I came down here as to the identity, so I
So you
have
don't know
nothing.
anything about interactions with the family yet? or-
No, no,
Do
nothing.
you know the victim and the third party you mentioned, are those 2 neighbors?
Yes,
So they both live in that?
yeah, on either side.
And it's the third party is who knows the suspects?
Yes. Well, the suspect knew both, but was a visitor to the address.
And none of those people were known to police previously?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Sorry, did you already address, do you believe drugs were involved here?
We're not sure what the motive is on this one. So All we know was as a result of a verbal argument that escalated. So I don't have the details, but that will probably come out in court.
So is the shooter and the girl living together on one side and the guy that got shot lives on the other side?
I don't know if it's a girl. I just know that there's our victim lived on one side, another party lived on the other side. The shooter knew the party on the other side
Oh,
and had frequented the address, and through that frequent visit got to know the neighbor who was our victim, who lived on the other side. So I don't know what that relationship was like between the three of them.
Number 2?
Number 2, we'll speak about Killarney. Calgary police continue to investigate a shooting in the Killarney area. At approximately 7:30 p.m. yesterday, February 22nd, 2015, police were called to the 1700 block of 28th Street Southwest after reports of multiple gunshots. When officers arrived on the scene, they found a man in his early 20s in the parking lot at the rear of the building. The victim was transported to hospital where he remains in life-threatening condition. And again, if anybody has information about this matter, we're asking them to call police or Crime Stoppers. What I can tell you, again, this is preliminary information, is we believe that it was not random, it was a targeted attack. No weapon has been recovered from that scene. There were a number of shots fired, although we have witnesses who reported the multiple shots. Unfortunately, we don't have any witnesses that saw or can provide any information about a suspect or a vehicle or anything leading up to this individual being shot. What we do believe is that it appears he was confronted as he was returning to that address. So I can't tell you if he lives there or not, but he was arriving at that address. Appears he was confronted, and then the multiple shots. The victim is not cooperating at this point, so we're moving forward on the investigation as best as we can, and if anybody has information, we're hoping they will give us a call.
So last night, the duty inspector, though, was saying that the suspect or suspects were believed to have taken off in a small, dark sedan. Is that no longer?
You know what, I would have to confirm that. The briefing that I had just before coming down, there was no mention of a vehicle, so I won't discount that, but I'll get that confirmed for you.
So the suspect is obviously conscious, if you're able to say he's not cooperating?
Yeah, I think he's in critical condition. I don't know what his condition is, but the investigators just mentioned that he's not cooperating at this point. So they obviously have been talking to him, and we're not getting information from him.
What about the people he was with last night? Are they being cooperative?
Well, we have no witnesses. The only people that we have been able to talk to are the folks that called in that heard the gunshots. So I don't know if there were people with him at the time. My understanding is he was alone as he was approaching the address when the shots happened.
I was told last night by the duty inspector it was his cousin who was with him.
Yeah, I only have what I was briefed on, so again, don't discount that, but the duty may have had different information or more information than I've been able to get here.
Information, Kev, on the number of shots that were fired in this shooting?
Victims just say multiple shots, but we're not releasing how many shots at this point, but there were multiple
More
shots.
than 3.
Yeah, multiple. I can't say, but they just said that there were a number of shots.
What's it like for investigators when you don't get cooperation from the person that you're essentially trying to help?
Well, it's frustrating. You got a fairly significant incident here. You have a shooting again in a neighborhood, 7:30 at night. That's not overly late for a Sunday night. You have multiple shots fired in a very congested area, and we have very few witnesses, if any, and then you have a victim who's not cooperating. So those are difficult and challenging investigations. That doesn't mean we just give up on those. It just means it's a little bit more work and a little bit more digging, but eventually they're pretty confident that through cooperation and some witnesses and people coming forward with information, we'll move this one forward. And maybe the victim himself may want to speak to us at some point, but at this point doesn't want to talk to us.
Do you know how many times he was struck, Kev?
I don't, sorry.
is it related, or can you say, or do you know, to the New Year's Killarney shootings?
I don't know that. I wasn't given that information. So.
Was the victim known to police prior?
I'm not going to say what his previous involvement was with us. All I can say is he's not cooperating with us. Okay, and then the third one, the PLC, again, this one is fairly, actually really fresh, so I don't have a lot of information. It's, but just before 2:30 a.m. this morning, Monday, February 23rd, 2015, a man was dropped off at a local hospital where he was pronounced deceased. His death is being treated as suspicious, and the homicide unit has been called out to investigate. We are still working to determine the circumstances surrounding the man's death, and at this point have very little information that we can share due to the fact it's fairly early in the investigation. We have more questions than answers right now on this one. Autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow, so we'll be able to determine the cause of death. We were able to do a preliminary identification of the deceased, which gave us the opportunity to speak to family members who were very cooperative. And now what we're trying to determine is location where this may have occurred and any information relating to this individual's movements or interactions or whatever leading up to the point where he was dropped off at the PLC. So very, very little information that we can share right now or that we even know right now. So if there is more information that the public may have, we'd appreciate a call as well.
Do you know who dropped him off at the hospital?
We don't. So he was dropped off at the hospital, and whoever dropped him off left before security could identify who it was.
But what about surveillance video?
I can't say, I mean, surveillance video has been obtained, and we have spoke to the security people. At this point, I just don't have the information as to who or what we might be looking for.
And you don't know where the scene is at all? You don't have an idea?
Not at this point,
So
no.
when you say he was dropped off, was he pushed out of a rolling cart and somebody dropped him at
Well,
the front
I,
door?
and I don't know the details. I know that, as I understand it, they showed up at the hospital, they dropped him off, and then they left right away. So whether that was inside, outside, whatever, but they left quickly before security could even speak to them.
Was he dead already when he was dropped off?
I don't know that. He was declared dead at the hospital. Now, whether or not he was deceased at the hospital or was deceased upon arrival, I don't have those details.
His family that you've been able to speak with, are they in Calgary?
They are in Calgary. At least some, I don't know how many we've spoken to, but I know we have spoken to Calgary-based family who are cooperating with us.
And how did they take the news? What's their reaction?
Well, yeah, you could probably imagine that it's shocking when a member of the family in these circumstances particularly gets just dropped off at a hospital and whoever dropped them off drives away and then they're pronounced dead, you know, a short time later. So they're like us, they want answers, and there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. So we have not a lot to go on right now because we have no witnesses and very, very little information. So if anybody knows anything, please give us a call.
And again, Kev, was this individual known to city police prior to this incident?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So apart from gang-related hits and stuff like that, when's the last time we had 3 violent incidents like that in less than 12 hours that you can remember that wasn't gang-related? Or
Well, in all honesty, in my 35 years, I can't recall, other than the 2007, 2008, 2009 gang times when we had multiple incidents like this. Now, I can't say that is 100% sure, but in my recollection, no, not this many in such a short period of time. So, yeah, it's disturbing.
So sorry, Kev, I don't know if you mentioned, was there a description of the car that dropped this individual off at all?
Not that I was given, but I know that they have spoken to hospital security, and there is CCTV there. Now, whether or not they're able to identify from CCTV or that's just information they're holding on to right now, that wasn't passed on to me to share at this point.
And do you know what the condition of that, that individual was deceased?
Yeah, deceased at the hospital, so that we have no information to go on right now at all.
Anything else?
Do you know
Okay.
the age of that individual, Kev?
I don't, no. The autopsy's tomorrow, so we'll be able to get the full identity and date of birth and that, and we'll release that as soon as we get it, plus cause of death if we can.
When are you expecting to do another media update?
I think we have a couple of we have the autopsy happening tomorrow. I'm not seeing anything probably happening much before tomorrow, before the autopsy results. But if we do have information, certainly that is important to move these investigations forward, and we want to get them out. We'll absolutely get that out to you right away.
So Kev, what can the public do to help you guys out in the work these few days ahead of you?
Well, I mean, these people obviously had interaction with somebody. Unfortunately, with the PLC incident, when we're not given a whole lot of information, but somebody may know something out there. The Killarney incident, there may be, information out there as to who these individuals were or circumstances leading up to it. So, when you look at these two files, these last two files where we have very little information to go on, and we're asking the public's assistance. Somebody knows something out there, so it's important that they get that to us and help us move this along.
Either two instances, did anybody notice how many people were in the vehicles?
Not that I'm aware of. And again, the PLC one, I don't know if that was captured or not. It wasn't passed on to me. The Killarney one, there may have been previous information that was released. It wasn't given to me for the briefing, so I didn't have that, but there could be vehicles.